Welcome back to Warthunder and welcome aboard the Focke-Wulf 189 A1 here in Realistic Battle in some sort of seal clubbing kill compilation, let's put it that way. It's a German reward medium bomber with a battle rating of 1.7. Medium bomber. Yeah, the sarcasm is real here, guys. So you can see here a kill compilation. Now this plane is kind of fun to play for a few matches, and after that it gets pretty repetitive. For me personally, it's not a challenge to seal club, and it's also not really, worth it because the income is not very great. Yes, it is a premium vehicle. Yes, it has a greater income than your average tier 1 plane, but it's still not very good, and the effective research stops at tier 3 with the RP penalty. So, what is this plane like? Well, let's begin with the bomb load. 4 50-kilogram bombs for a so-called medium bomber are pathetic. Your top speed is also not the highest, with 550 kilometers an hour wing rip speed. And you can see it here, descending takes a while, but you have the medium bomber or the bomber spawn point altitude advantage, and that turns this mostly mediocre plane into an insanely strong seal clubber. Watch that. So this plane turns, and it turns, and it turns, and it turns. You almost can compete with biplanes. It's that ridiculous. Of course, it has its limitations because of, how should I say it? Well, this guy had fun. Because of, how should I say it? The plane lacks the combination of elevator and roll rate. In this example, it's not really that apparent. It also has some strange energy retention gaps, let's put it that way, where it suddenly slows down, but then other areas where it is absolutely amazing. And then the armament. We have 2 German 7.92mm machine guns with 1000 rounds between them. And especially for me personally, the universal belt kicks in really, really hard. Now, obviously, you have your difficulties against certain planes, for example, the American P-36 variants and also the French counterpart, which gets excessively used by seal clubbers, and it's kind of a joy to seal club them as well, because according to their maneuvers and to how much maneuvers they pull and teamwork and so forth, they are good pilots. Way too good for a beginner. And it was kind of a joy to seal club them as well. And in this plane you can do it, and you're unexpected because you're a so-called medium bomber. You're so much better with going into fighter mode, dropping your bombs or not picking bombs at all. Maybe they're useful in later stages, I don't know. And you also have problems against heavier targets like, the big bombers, medium bombers such as the Catalinas or the French 22.2 plane, 222.2 plane. I don't know. Many numbers. Too many for me as a German even. So yeah, The plane is fun to fly. It has sort of a penalty when it comes to the income when researching tier 3. It has an astonishing flight model. I mean, this is something that you should have experienced a few times, and it's an absolute dangerous turn fighter, horizontal and also vertically. You can pick your targets, you can prioritize them, and then suddenly come out of the blue, so to speak, the hun in the sun, and just pick off the most dangerous enemy fighters for your team, for example the Hurricanes, the P-36, and do excessive damage with them, and you get a lot of critical damage with them, a lot of pilot snipes. You can energy bait them and so forth, all the good stuff. So yeah, Silk Clubbers is the best description for this plane. I just did it because it was much requested in comment sections that I should have a look at this, and I didn't take this plane out for quite some while. I had it for over a year. I'm not quite sure when I first got it. I think I lose count on where I got which tank and plane from. You know, I'm sorry about this, but after 1,000 vehicles or so, I just lose track. Back to this plane. So it turns really nicely. The machine guns hit hard, the bomb load is bad, but you have the bomber spawn altitude, and without that you would be not very good because of your lack of climb rate and engine power and so forth. Your top speed is limited, but your maneuverability is next to none. I mean, just look at this. I wouldn't be that comfortably in a biplane against this plane here, the H-57A4. So, what is there left to say? Well, the back gunners. So you have two back gunners. One turret is a dorsal gunner, I guess you call it, and it's responsible for covering the upper half. And the rear gunner has a very weird shape, and it turns around, so you can easily adjust the elevation. But if somebody turns, the entire turret has to rotate. And it's a little bit like the turret on the G5N1, the Japanese heavy bomber. And most of the time I do not try to rely on this, and especially with the excessive maneuvers, even with a very good crew, the gunners just don't fire most of the time. So yeah, there is that. But they just can be helpful in some ground striking on those low tier maps when you rack up the kills on some vehicles or some SPA trucks, something like this. You just simply can fire without any ammunition penalty for your main machine guns. Yeah, that's basically it. That's all that I have to say about the plane. What's there even more? Yeah, again, guys, stop seal clubbing at this battle rating. It's not fun to see so many of you doing this. Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, you are allowed to do this, but you're actually repelling new players. Okay? I just did it for pure science. I just played like, I'm not quite sure, 10 games or so. And then I had the footage together. And the reason why I didn't get many aces was solely for the reason there were not enough enemy fighters in the air, or I ran out of ammunition, or you know, I ran into 3 or 4 enemies at the same time, and then suddenly somebody pilot sniped me or something like this. So accidents happened. But then again, if you look at this player, he has no chance whatsoever. I turned so fast. He lacks the situational awareness. Maybe he has a stock crew. You know, poor guy. What can you do? What can you do? Yeah, and then, you know, there are your typical medium bombers, such as the Havoc, that eat a lot of damage, and they also are capable of easily dealing damage to you with their machine guns, being 7.7 or 50 caliber defensive turrets. It doesn't really matter. They just are highly capable seal clubbing planes, as you can see. And yeah, I try my best here, and I hammer him hard. But again, then this is the point where the 7.92s have some sort of limitation. But I hit him hard in the engine. I critted a lot of stuff. So while he's still combat capable, he's not that efficient anymore, and maybe somebody else will saw off his wing, or maybe he crashes when landing at his airport. I don't know. I kind of survived the engagement, but my left engine is damaged, and with one engine the plane is not that much fun to fly anymore. You just can't keep up the turns. You can keep your web most of the time, and you really need it because the engine power, as I said, is not the strongest. But the plane feels light and responsive and maneuverable, and you still have this insane rudder kick. It's very unprecise, let's put it that way, but at least you get this kick in your flight path and just roll out of the way of somebody else's way of shooting you and so forth. So that's just a little hidden stuff. I didn't expect the plane to have such an incredible elevator pull, especially as a medium bomber. You know, the sarcasm is again really here. And let's see, yeah, the aim, if you zoom in, it is your typical medium bomber aim, so not like with a fighter where you just zoom in the middle. You zoom a little bit down, so your aiming reticle is on top of the screen. That is highly annoying, but typical for this sort of super, I mean, what heavy fighters have occasionally, and also medium bombers like the Do 217, where I can directly recall it, which is again annoying. The cockpit looks fine, the plane is looking very good. I like the look of it. Again, it looks like a P-38. And again, that's all that I can tell you about this plane. Just one last satisfying scene here, again the Havoc, and let's see how we can deal with him. You can see a good portion of my team is occupied with trying to deal with this guy. He's heavily smoking, he's not that fast anymore, he turns away, and we have enough ammunition left after the first few engagements to deal with them. The ammunition count is actually not that much of a problem, and there we get actually a pilot snipe from the rear, which is fine. So that's it for me today with the Focke-Wulf 189 A1. The Uhu, it's a great little fun plane. It's not very good in the medium bomber role, but as a really seal clubbing medium bomber fighter hybrid, and yeah, it's actually a bit more than a collector's item if you really want to seal club. That's the only recommendation that I can give it to you because of its low rank and low battle rating. So finally, that's it for me today. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Please give this video a like if you did, subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll see each other in the skies of War Thunder.